Slow-mo.
He's got me walking that grief walk.
Going slow-mo.
He's got me talking that grief talk.
Going slow-mo.
He's got me clocking the way.
It's the Miami Night Show.
Hey, yeah.
Slow-mo.
He's got me walking that grief walk.
Going slow-mo.
He's got me talking that grief talk.
Going slow-mo.
He's got me clocking the way.
What up, tribe? It's Miami Night Show, Master Grief Coach. Welcome to the Miami Night Show. You got me walking that grief walk. It's time for Grief Talk, y'all.
I talk about things you think about.
Welcome back, Grief Nation listeners, and today we're going to be speaking about benefits of feeling emotions. We're going to be talking with Cleveland Robinson. You guys, Cleveland is an amazing artist. He's an entrepreneur, a global mental health advocate who has been working with families and at-risk youth throughout the country to assist in strengthening bonds and improving communication. He has become a leading advocate for mental wellness within the African American and minority communities. Mr. Robinson provides workshops, and he has become a sought-after speaker in the topic of African American mental health and male empowerment. He has presented at the University of Florida, the University of New Mexico, the Martin Luther King Commission, Brewton Parker College, Palm Beach State College, and various other organizations throughout the country. Mr. Robinson is the founder and CEO of Robinson House Behavioral Health. He serves clients with various mental health diagnoses of all ages, with a special emphasis on African American male adolescents. These services also include individual counseling, family therapy assessments, and post-dating stress symptoms. Let's welcome him.
Hey, so good to see everybody today, and thank you so much, number one, for inviting me here to have a conversation with you. It's always a pleasure to talk to people who are into helping and empowering other people. That's really the kind of people I enjoy talking to and vibing with, because we got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Plus, we trying to heal ourselves daily, because everybody
Absolutely.
got something,
Absolutely.
and so I really appreciate it, Miami.
You're right.
So I'm Cleveland Robinson, and I am by birth a creative person. You know, I've been doing music my whole life,
Okay.
and I love people. So by academic training, I'm a licensed therapist, and so I just kind of found a way to combine the two.
Absolutely.
And it was all organic. I didn't really set out to be a therapist. You know, I'm a church kid. I've always helped and worked with people and volunteered. So it really was just, I was in school, so I just went for it. And I'm being honest.
Okay.
That's how I
Yeah,
went.
yeah.
Because I was like, I already help people, so what can I do by helping people, but I can make a profession out of it.
Okay.
And so that's how I became a therapist. And most of all, I'm an entrepreneur. And so that's my Instagram, of course, is at Real Cleve Robinson. And that's kind of what it encompasses through social media, you know.
Okay.
My art, creativity, such as my music, as well as, you know, entrepreneurship, which is really very important, as well as being, you know, a global mental health advocate. And that's really my focus.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. So can you tell me what triggered your passion outside of that for this calling? I know you said that you're a church kid, and you know, you just wanted to bind the two, but really what jogged you to say, you know, this is something that I need to do, but why?
Well, I think when you're raised in a household or environment where helping people or empowering people, whether it's on Sunday or whether it's, you know, at school or whatever,
Yeah.
or in the community, is just kind of what you do, you know, what you and your family do week to week to week.
Yeah.
It can just become a part of you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, my faith is really the foundation of, or the lens of how I see the world. You know, I see it through a faith, you know, through faith glasses, shall we say. That's
Yes,
how I
sir.
see everything,
Yes.
you know. And so because of that, I've always been involved with people. My mom, and my grandmother. Okay, you volunteering with us in the nursing home.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you volunteering, you know, here. You know,
Mhm.
what it wasn't optional. You know,
Yes.
I've been volunteering since I was like 8 years old or somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And so what happened was, after volunteering, you end up as a little child talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, man, so as a little child, I realized that like everybody got a thing. People
Yeah.
don't really understand that.
Yeah.
A lot of beautiful faces out here in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
But behind closed doors, people are really, more than we think, are actually really on the edge of life.
Yes.
Way more than we think.
Oh yes, absolutely. You done gave me chill bumps. I agree. I think sometimes when we feel as though there is nothing else that we can do, just as simple as if you've lost your job and you think that that's the end of everything, end all of be all, but it's not. One thing that I did want to read to you, I found this on brianstracy.com. So according to him, the roles of your subconscious mind plays in your everyday life. And I just thought that this was so profound because I want my Grief Nation tribe to understand how your subconscious mind works. And of course, we know, hopefully we all know that it's just a computer. It's generating all the information that we've given it over time and over time. And so we create these patterns all the time. And the thing that stuck out the most to me in this post he had was, once the subconscious mind is tapped into, this remarkable part of the brain plays many different roles in your everyday life, such as it's a memory bank, an unquestionable servant, and a comfort zone. But the unquestioning servant was stuck out to me the most because it said it works day and night to make your behavior fits a pattern consistent with your emotionalized thoughts, hopes, dreams, and desires. So if it's working against me, so to speak, to say it works day and night to making your behaviors fit the pattern that you're constantly doing and thinking about, then that's all I'm going to believe. How do you feel about that?
I do agree because you kind of answered it earlier. It is a computer,
Mm-hmm.
And what we got to understand about the subconscious mind is that it's such an amazing computer that you actually never ever technically forget anything that's ever happened to you.
Yeah.
Ever, actually. It stores it somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
In your, away from your automatic recall.
Yes.
But any trauma, anything, absolutely, it is there. It concerns grief and the things we take on and how we perceive our reality. It is absolutely important to understand what you have cooking back there.
Mm-hmm.
Because let me add on to what you were saying. The issue is sometimes it's not our conscious mind that's causing us issues,
Right?
Especially when it comes to going through life, and understanding why we react to what we react to. It's actually what we don't remember in many cases.
Mm-hmm.
The abuse or the trauma that you experienced when you were a
Right.
child that you decided to tuck away.
Yes.
Or losing your parents, or a loved one, or a child when you're or anything of that matter, then you decide to tuck it away, but then you move on and you have relationships that just won't seem to completely mesh. But really it's your subconscious providing you with a defense mechanism, so you can't experience that again. So didn't want to go too far off, but I agree.
Okay. So what sparked when I initially saw your post that you tagged me in, I was like, well, I was just blown away by your voice because it's so powerful. But what sparked the 5 days of closure?
I have a show that I will be debuting very soon.
Okay.
It's called Closure with Cleveland.
Okay.
And so I was doing Closure with Cleveland live when I lived in Atlanta. I just moved to Dallas, Texas, which is now my new adopted home, in January of last year.
Okay.
But I do something called Closure with Cleveland live. I now turn it into what's going to be like a YouTube show for now.
Okay.
And I'm just going to be debuting once a month for right now, and I'll be bringing more episodes throughout the year.
Okay.
And what it is it's me sitting down with an individual and talking to them about what they had to experience in life, and what they have experienced in life, and what they had to do to find closure and healing for themselves.
Okay.
And so that is one of my main focuses, especially when it comes to my own therapy and
Mhm.
practices,
Okay.
helping people find closure and healing. That's truly where it's at. And the stages of grief, which is why your show is so amazing, is that people don't understand you go through those 5 stages in so many different ways.
Oh yes, and they're not chronological. I mean, they happen. You can be angry, depressed, all in the same time. At the same
Yeah.
time, you can be at a point that you feel that you've accepted a situation, and then you want to bargain it again. You want to feel like, okay, well, I've accepted it, but I know if I would have done this, this probably wouldn't happen. So you're back and forth with these feelings and these emotions. So since I know that thoughts and emotion play a major role in the process of grief, what's your take on how feeling the benefits of your emotions? Can you talk about that for us?
Oh man, so here's the problem. The problem is, as human beings, we don't want to experience pain. And I'm not saying that in a negative or a positive way. What I'm saying is we just don't like pain.
Yeah.
Okay. And so because we are not conditioned for pain,
Mm-hmm.
finding closure can be difficult, which is why I do closure with Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
And where the 5 days of closure, of course, came from.
Okay.
And I strategically, of course, led it to the first 5 days leading up to the new year.
Absolutely. I caught that.
And
Which was
so,
amazing.
the thing is, it's important to talk to someone like yourself, or myself, if anyone, in your grief nation is going through or beginning to go through the grieving process,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of times people don't want to experience the pain by themselves, but emotionally
Mm-hmm.
it does have to happen.
Oh yeah.
It's just how it is.
Yes. Yes.
And I know, of course, coming from personal situations that you have experienced, whether
Mm-hmm.
it be loss with a close family member or loss with a distant relative,
Yeah.
you have to go through those stages. Now,
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, those stages aren't going to have the same emotional intensity, but it's going to be one of them in there out of those 5 stages
Mm-hmm.
where you're going to say, this is too intense, I cannot deal.
Mm-hmm.
Quick story.
Yeah.
I used to work with a gentleman, and when he talks about his father, now I want to let you know his father's been gone for over 20 years.
Wow.
But when he talks about his father, if you didn't know that, you could swear his father just died
Just passed. Yeah.
recently.
Mhm.
'Cause
he's
And
stuck.
so,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
he is unwilling to deal with it.
Oh, well, I send my
And
healing energies to him. I
mhm,
send my healing energies to him, because that's just that being stuck in a place where you feel that nothing has changed. Like, he can't change the situation. I think that's where he is. He feels as though that he's stuck in the situation that he can't change, that he's not willing to accept the fact that his father is gone. First, I think I don't know exactly, the relationship with you and with him and how much he's told you, but being stuck is that you're still in some type of disbelief. Like, you keep telling yourself these disbeliefs, like it's not happening, then it's not true. So that's the effect of him still believe. If you was to hear him, like you said, if you was to hear him speaking, it seems like his father just passed. He's still dealing with those disbeliefs that are in his mind, even though his father is gone. He's still stuck in them.
mhm. It's so interesting. And I was in grad school when I had met him. I worked with him,
Yeah.
and so for some reason, I cannot shake. I just think I think that we are positioned to meet different people in life that's going to allow us to be more effective later on in life.
Mm-hmm.
And when I deal with people who have grief, I'm just really thankful I met him, because it allowed me to see, oh, you really can be stuck for decades. Now, here's the thing. I remember using him as an example, and I'm thankful to God that God was able to expose me to that.
Mm-hmm.
But 20 years seems like a long time, but it's others now, and I see it all the time, who lost their parent or someone close to them, heck, in the 80s, you know what I'm saying, in the 70s, and you can still see it, when they put about their memorial post, or
Mm-hmm.
I got a close friend, when she puts up her post about her losing her mother,
Yeah.
It really seems like it was recent. It
Yeah.
truly does.
Oh my God.
So I mean, to the Grief Nation out there, um, be courageous. Be
Yes.
courageous.
Yes.
And being courageous doesn't mean that you're not going to be scared.
Mm-hmm.
It means that even in the face of fear, that you do have to persevere on. And the good thing about it, with individuals like yourself, Miami, they don't have to do it by themselves.
Yes. There's so much help out here. But you have to be willing. That's why I've also studied with Lisa Nichols' program, Becoming a
Hmm.
Renowned Speaker. And one of the things that she said just recently was, "Are you coachable?" And that just immediately grabbed me. And because I
Hmm.
can understand that, because when you're trying to help someone through just being a coach, not being a therapist, but a coach is literally just trying to help you get where you're requesting to be or where you're trying to go. But with the individuals that I have dealt with, because of their being stuck in their grief, we make all these excuses, we make all of these, we don't try hard enough to meet our greatest potential, because we just sit in the state of being sad or
Hmm.
depressed or angry, and not wanting to move forward. But the thing that I know that I feel the most is, in order for people to have the opportunity to be coached, they have to be willing. I mean, you got to want this for yourself. That's
You
just,
do.
you know what I'm saying?
You
Even
do.
going to talk to somebody, you're going to need to want this for yourself. And when that's not a part of you actually be that person that you're so saying, okay, I am going to change my life, and then you change your mind about that, and you're still stuck in these stages of the denial, the anger, and all of that, but you're not willing to be pushed, you're not willing, you don't have, it's almost like the individual, for me as far as coaching, that they just don't have the willpower. What can we do to give them willpower to move forward? As far as even your word, you coming out and you saying, I'm here to empower you. But that one person that just says, okay, I want to do it, I want to do it. But yet, have you had clients like that, or have you dealt with
Sure thing.
individuals like
Sure
that?
thing. Sure thing.
What do you
Um,
do?
this is what I do. I continue to gently nudge, and of course, in counseling, we call them encouragers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's whether it's a verbal encouragement or just being a listening ear. Because here's the thing.
Yeah.
Um, I used to be the counselor, before I got seasoned, where I can I can see the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So I need you to see this problem. And
Yeah.
so I would push harder than I needed to.
Okay.
And a couple years went by and I was like, oh, people have to get there at their own time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so when I realized that this is my role as a therapist and a helping professional.
Mm-hmm.
Listen,
Yes.
encourage,
Absolutely.
motivate,
Mm-hmm.
and repeat.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yes.
Because the willpower, Miami, has to come from within.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, we can only push people as far as they're willing to go at that time.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so what I usually do, and this is for even any other helping professionals out there who are listening, is you literally just have to listen, motivate, and encourage.
Mm-hmm.
I'm positive for sure, if you're a seasoned helping professional, from after the first one or two times talking to your client, you're already going to know what they need to do. I got y'all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you actually need to keep it to yourself.
Mm.
Now, I know that sounds difficult because we want to see people heal.
Yeah.
And I want to be very clear. I want to make a quick note here, which is very important for those who are listening to know.
Go right ahead.
Now, I am talking from a position of a therapist. I want to be very, very, very clear here for people to hear me. This is important because some in the Grief Nation of those who are helping professionals listening to this show,
Mm-hmm.
they may be coming from a life coach standpoint, or other health professional standpoint, and
Okay.
it's not the standpoint I'm coming from at this very moment.
Okay.
Therapeutically, I want to be very clear. Therapeutically, I would allow the person to come into their own willpower.
Yes, right.
If I was doing more motivational life coaching, I would nudge a little harder.
Yes. Yeah.
So I just kind of want to make that clear there, because people should be able to go to whoever they feel will be a
Right.
good fit for them.
Right, absolutely. Whoever they're drawn to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And to make them open up and to and to continue, like you said, to encourage them to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
But I have found that even in just coaching, that it's, even though, like you're saying, it has to be on their own timing. And, you kind of have to evaluate, like you said, initially the person, where they are. You have to meet where they are, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in doing that, sometimes in coaching, I think coaches get very excited initially because they have a client that came to them and it seems that they're willing to want to do these things. But when you're dealing with grief, and there's also so many types of grief, trying to even, pull the layers back from that and trying to say, well, is this clinical now that, where your feelings are, and, it's confidential, but at the same time, I want to make sure, just being a coach, that I'm not I'm not drawing the line. I have to draw the line in the sand, basically.
It's an area there.
Yeah, there's an area there.
It's an area.
Coaches have to really listen to what a person is saying, because what we don't want to happen is that they needed more support in the area of having a therapist as opposed to being coached. So since it's just a very thin line between that, I just want my mission, as I stated before, just to keep continuing encouraging a person to not where they are, to move past where they are and into the life that God has called them. Because we all are here for a reason. That is not, that is undeniably understated, a statement that everybody is here for a reason. So if you know that you're here for a reason, I feel as though, as me being your coach, let me allow me to help you guide yourself to where you're wanting to go. But when it comes to an issue that all that willpower and you're not nudging, then, sometimes as a coach, you're just at a loss, because initially I'm thinking this is what you wanted, right? So if I get someone, and I think maybe I'm talking to, because I don't know why I can't let this go, but I think I'm talking to because I have a lot of friends that are coaches, and they do have clients that, they're unable to help them move past where they are or to meet the goals that we've set. Okay. So of course we empower, of course we encourage, but for that one person that just cannot, what do you recommend?
It's funny you say this, because I actually was about to lean back on what you just said. If you're let's use a term here, stuck.
Yes.
Okay, so if you are stuck, my image just really said what you have to do. You're going to need to go into your helping professionals office, or wherever you meet them at, with an open mind, and actually allow them to guide you.
Yeah.
So what happens is we want to make sure we control how we progress through grief. And so the thing is, if you are stuck, you are not in control of it anymore. Because if you were in control, you could keep on moving.
Absolutely.
But being stuck means that you are unable to move past where you're at. And it's a good metaphor. If you're stuck, okay, let's say you're driving in a car, all right, and you are stuck, right, and you get stuck in some mud, okay, and so you spin your tires, and what usually happens, people who have been stuck in mud before realize the faster you spin your tires,
The deeper you're digging.
the deeper you dig yourself in mud. And so you call AAA and they bring out a wrecker.
Yeah.
And the wrecker, attaches to your bumper, wherever they attach to your bumper at with their rig. And then the guy who has the wrecker just kind of chills on the side of his truck, hits a little button, yawns a little bit, and it gently pulls your truck out of that mud that was so difficult for you to get out.
Yeah.
But for the wrecker, it's just another day.
It's another day.
And so, because that's
his job.
That's his job.
Right.
And so when you're stuck, this is what happens. You are now in a cycle where you cannot get out of, and you have gotten deeper and deeper in the mud. And what happens is when you're stuck, when you're going through grief, it is absolutely positively affecting other things in your life, whether you know it or not.
Yeah.
It's impossible to not.
Yeah.
And so go for it, mommy.
And your health.
Oh man.
Your health. I mean, the whole mindset has affected everything. Your digestive system, your aches and body pains, and everything else. But I wanted to kind of piggyback on something that you had said, and oh goodness, I hope it hadn't lost my mind. When you were talking about being stuck. Oh, this is what I wanted to mention. Do you recommend, prior to if someone's feeling that they're in this grief state, they really need some assistance, do you recommend coaching or do you recommend therapy first?
A very good question. I'm asked it a lot, and I wish that more helping professionals
how can we help you?
would ask.
How can a grief coach help you?
It's very simple. So let's say that a client shows up to a grief coach's office, right?
Yeah.
Okay, they call you, they set up the appointment. All right. So this is where the line comes. During your initial assessment, okay, you must ask them about their mental health diagnosis. It's very important. If they've had one, if they've been to counseling, if they had a past of mental health issues. Now, that don't mean they need to come to a therapist, but it at least lines out a foundation for you and some awareness for you as a grief coach to say, okay, during this session, I need to be aware if this person has a bipolar diagnosis.
Right.
I need to already be aware if this person has a major depressive disorder diagnosis and other things that deal with emotions where you'll see the ebb and flows. Because if they have a diagnosis, such as those two I named, and then they come to you for grief, sometimes, especially if they're not medicated, it may appear as a grief coach that you're not making headway, but you might be. However, their diagnosis may be interfering with their progress.
Absolutely.
But if I'm doing an assessment and I do not, as a grief coach, assess if there's already a disorder that will get in the way of them progressing, then I'm gonna miss that boat. So it's nothing wrong with them having a grief coach and a counselor. Because if you and I've been encouraging life coaches for a long time, man, go ahead and team up with a therapist. Like, team up.
We go hand in hand.
Hand in hand.
You know what I'm saying? Because even for me, and from going through my whole ordeal of my son being shot and then the suicide and just the whole family, when I had to look back at the whole situation and my family, my children, their suffering, my suffering, his father's, I wasn't the only one in this, but I carried a lot of the burden and the guilt and the shame and, all of those things. But for me, I was guided into everything that I had to do. I can't say that everybody will have that situation happen to them, but I was guided a lot, because I think the reason why I was guided, because I was already open. I had an open heart to God. Initially, my heart was open, and I loved the Lord, and I prayed when all of this was happening, which was the craziest thing. From a year prior to his death to the year that he originally got shot, everything was just happening and I could feel it, but I didn't understand what it was. But when the initial call came and I found out what happened the night before, I had this, they call it the entanglement, quantum entanglement.
Okay.
I was having that the night before. But in between all of this and losing my son, I was in the year of the 8th because my father, it was coming up that year that my son passed, that in that September would have been 8 years that my father had passed. So I had lost my father. I had lost my sister. These were traumatic deaths. They wasn't, something that just, oh, well, we know grandma's going to be leaving us. And no, my father was found dead a week after. My sister just woke up one morning. She had a hematoma on her brain and she lived for a year, but she died in a coma. And then my son with the suicide. So I had a lot of traumatic death that happened to me. But because I feel that my spirit was open enough to still hear from God, I was guided to know about these things that like finding a job that had these 6 sessions free for me, and at the same time I was also wanting to release all of the pain that I was having. So there's 2 things: you have to be already open and you have to want to.
I like that.
Right?
I would agree.
I really think so. So tell me about, has there ever been a time in your life that there was some thoughts that created negative emotions, and what were the disbeliefs that you were hearing, and how did you move past that?
Well, I have a significant grief journey that I have been on actually to this day. So I'm still processing, as a matter of fact.
Absolutely.
And so I had a very close friend who I spoke to daily, that died all of a sudden. Had a diabetic coma out of the blue. He was just mid-40s.
Wow, I'm sorry to hear that.
And so he died mid-40s, and it changed how I view the world and friends perpetually. So to this very day, I make sure, and I really actually made it one of my resolutions, to make a friend a week.
Okay.
And so, I know I can have 52 brand new BFFs,
All right.
but, to at least engage with someone new once a week, because I had begun to shut people off. And anyone who's lost, you can lose your family, and that's one thing that sends you through a totally different amount of emotions.
Yeah.
But if anyone has ever lost one of their best friends, I mean, not on the social, but truly like your brother, it sends you to another place sometimes.
I know. Oh, trust me. I understand that, because that's what happened to my son. So I know. Struggled with the survival remorse,
It was very difficult. And so what I've done is I've been very conscious about the effects it's had on me. And because I'm so interested in living my best life for real.
Yes.
I work on it. I don't know when I'm going to be at complete closure about it. I'm going to use a different word. I'm never going to accept his death. Okay. But I can be at peace with it. Okay. And that's okay too.
Yes.
I've already looked through the stages of where I've been at. I don't, and for those who are listening, you don't have to go through all 5.
Right.
You can go through some of them, and then you'll kind of move to a place of acceptance, or you could move to a place of peace. Yes. They can be synonymous. I don't accept his death, and I'm being very transparent here.
Yes, yeah.
Because I'm mad about it still. But I'm at peace with it, knowing that I cannot continue my life living, and I'm already a very private person. Yeah. And so I can't continue to live my life in this small little bubble. I got to keep on shaking hands and kissing babies.
Yeah.
So that's how that is my tribute to him. Okay. Let me keep on living.
Oh, that's so sweet and amazing. I'm so proud of you. I'm just proud of you for having this mission. I think when we go through something, or death or loss, or just having a grievance, it empowers us to want to do more, because that's a healing. It's actually healing us at the same time. Not to say that we won't have these feelings again, or we won't be in acceptance, or we won't feel depressed about it one day. But I think for me, helping others and getting people to understand the process of grief and loss, that's my mission, to get people to understand it. And if they're able to just think differently about a feeling or an emotion that they may have, a thought that came, if they just can think differently about it and work towards that thought. Because we often can say all kind of affirmations. I am a multi-millionaire, or I am. But are you really working on being a multi-millionaire? So don't be saying something that you're not working towards. I say constantly, because I used to be afraid to speak in front of people. Mind you, when I was singing, I used to always get these butterflies that would, I would just be so fearful and have to leave the stage, but now I'm trying to move past that. So one of the affirmations that I say now is I'm a master at speech. So I've kind of told myself that, but at the same time, I've taken a Lisa Nichols course, trying to gather my story and make sure I'm doing all my points, and but I'm working towards it. So I'm coachable enough to do it. So, but what tips would you have for our grievers to help them transition through a negative thought today, just for today?
Well, I'll tell the grievers the same thing I will tell my personal clients, and that is, you have to say positive affirmations. It sounds so cliche, but negative intrusive thoughts really grow like weeds in your mind. And so you have to do something to counter that. And so no matter how you feeling, here's the big one. You don't have to believe it.
That's right.
You got to say it. And you have to say it enough till your mind begins to believe it. That's what's missing. So even for you today, you're not feeling yourself. You may be saying, I don't want to be here anymore. You may say, this feels like the worst day ever. I'm ready to leave work. Whatever emotion you may be feeling at this time, you got to say, I can make it throughout the day. I'm going to be okay. You have to keep on saying those things. I can make it throughout the day. I'm going to be okay. I believe in a lot of self-care. If you can afford it on some, don't do something kind for yourself. It don't have to be expensive. I mean, I'm talking about going and getting a manicure, pedicure. So I'm actually talking about, go get some ice cream. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, be kind to yourself. So positive affirmations and doing something kind for yourself, or on your way home, before you get bombarded with the family, find what your mental peace is. Is it turning on your favorite song? Is it parking in front of the house a couple of minutes just to gather your mind so you can meditate? People got to take advantage of their lunch breaks. I know that you do a lot of meditation and chakras and so forth on yourself, Miami. So if that is for someone, then you don't need a long time to do that. So I think a lot of times in the moment, we as human beings, actually, if we really did an inventory, we don't take advantage of all the hours we have in a day. Sometimes we can use them a little more effectively. So if you got to have a 10-minute chakra session, that's all you need. 10 minutes is a long time to meditate.
It doesn't take time at all.
So
no, it doesn't take time at all. So what's next for you? I know you have this amazing show getting ready to come. I can't wait to see you blow up there. I know you have music coming, but what else is next for you?
Well, I am staying in my lane at this time. As I said, I'm an entrepreneur. I do have a startup that I am bringing out that is kind of influenced off of me as a therapist, because I'm just all about people connecting and healing. If we want to just tear everything down and put it in a couple words, I want people to heal. I want people to find closure. I just happen to do it through therapy, the end. And so I do have a startup that's coming right now. If it's not about music or it's about uplifting people in business, I don't do it. I had to decide consciously to become a master of a few things
Yes.
instead of a jack of many.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a startup that's coming. I will be sure to make a big announcement in February, mid-February, about the startup, and it will launch in February. And it is something actually that everyone, and I mean actually everyone, can take advantage of.
All right.
And so I will follow up with you soon so people can hear that about that startup.
Okay, so grief listeners, listen up. Cleve Robinson is coming out with a startup. We want to make sure that we follow, like, and share on all of his social media platforms. Can you give those to me for us?
Yes, it's everywhere you look, it's going to be at Real REAL Cleve Robinson everywhere. It's going to be on Facebook at Real Cleve Robinson. I'm gonna come up on Instagram at Real Cleve Robinson. I'm going to come up. Twitter isn't my spirit animal, so I post sometimes, and I realize that the entertainment world actually is on Twitter. It is the center of all publicity.
Yeah,
I'm just not interested.
I'm not,
and that's okay.
I'm not. I'm an empath, and even me now getting out into the world, even Instagram, and I don't really care for Facebook, but I know Facebook is an amazing place to promote your business, but because I'm just sensitive to people and their energy, I just, I'm like you. I'm going to stay in my lane, and whoever, wants to listen and learn more and become empowered, like by Cleveland and other guests to come, that's just where we are. But I just really, really, really thank you for accepting my invitation to come on the show today.
Sure.
And you are I just think so highly of you. I mean, I love your voice. Your voice is what grasps people.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. You have a power, almost like a, I don't want to say preacher, but you minister well with your message. So I appreciate that. Send you love and light, and I just thank you for being here today.
Sure thing. And once again, thank you. And for those who follow Miami and her Grief Nation, just keep on waking up every day and pushing. If you wake up every day and take that first step out of bed, you can make it.
Yes.
You can make it.
Absolutely.
And so just keep on pushing, you guys. Everything's going to be all right. And I mean that. If you haven't heard it from anybody today, you just heard it now. Everything's going to be all right. For real.
Oh, thank you, hon.
Shop at My Night Collections, where all things are decor, and get your bedding, draping, decorware, event supplies, and more. Click, shop, and adore at My Night Collection Decors.